Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Jackie,
And I'm Desiree.
and today we will be discussing Britney Spears and the horrendous past 13 or 14 years that she's gone through in the conservatorship.
That is today on the Sister Sit Down.
Leave Britney alone! Please!
We want to talk about it. We're trying to focus on more positive stories, but I guess sometimes we're still going to come on with things like this that are bothering us because it really bothers me that she lost that court battle. I was expecting her to win. I wanted to hear more from her as a free woman, and I think we all do.
She asked for the opportunity to get to do interviews. She asked for them to allow her to remove her IUD so she could have kids. She wants to be able to get in the car with her boyfriend. I think she wants to get married to him too. And I don't know if they're keeping her from that. I don't know if that's part of the story or not. I'm sure if they're keeping her from having babies, they can keep her from getting married as well. It is really upsetting to think that as hard as she's worked her entire life, that she still ended up this way. It just shows you, like, no matter who you are, you could end up in a situation where you're completely exploited and taken advantage of. And the whole world is watching and it's just being allowed to happen.
This is, worse than just being taken advantage of and exploited. Although that is part of what's happening, it sounds like she's being, her whole life, her body, her existence is being controlled by other people. She can't have children. I read that she just wants to get in the car and go for a ride with her boyfriend. Like I think she wants it to be over. She just wants her life back. And I think, like, if she could, it seems to me, I get the impression that she would have no superstardom at all. She almost maybe wishes she'd never sung a note, and that's unfortunate because she's given us so much. I hear her music on popular culture on TV and I hear those songs, and I honestly feel like everyone should stop using her songs until she's free, because she's not getting that money. You're basically just sending royalties to her father.
Making money for her dad and her team who threatened to sue her if she didn't perform when she decided she was no longer going to perform anymore. They threatened to sue her, and she doesn't have any legal rights to hire an attorney to defend her. It's just all around, this story is insane.
So don't buy tickets to her concerts.
No.
Don't music, I'm thinking. I mean, like, I feel like, what can we do to help her get free? I was watching Lucifer and they had a scene where the lead female drives, no, wait, was it Lucifer? No, Supergirl. I was watching Supergirl and there's a scene where Supergirl comes up in this really cute car and one of Britney Spears' songs plays in the background of it. And I just feel like that's not okay. Like, her songs should be off. We should just not have her. I don't want to hear her songs anywhere until she's free. And it's not about not wanting to hear her songs. It's just about that's her voice. In a time she's not allowed to have a voice, someone else is using her voice to benefit. And it's uncomfortable. And I think we all should feel uncomfortable when we hear her songs right now. I mean, if you own an album that you bought back before all this happened, then play it all you want, but don't buy anything new. Don't give any money.
Even streaming it on your phone is putting money in the pocket of the conservatorship, which is sad. Like, don't buy merch. Last year they had I can't remember what it was called exactly, but it was like the Britney, I think it was called The Zone. And it was like Britney Experience, and it was this giant warehouse in Los Angeles that they basically recreated a bunch of iconic music video sets for Britney. and they had like a lot of her costumes there, and it was like this huge thing that they put together. It was basically like a Britney museum, and it was only supposed to be temporary, so that puts like the urgency on people like having to go and see it if they're fans. And even at that time, people were saying don't go because this was not promoted by Britney, and they felt that this was just putting money into the pocket of the conservators. And still, you saw a lot of celebrities going to the event, and people would comment on the, like, if the celebrity went and took pictures, people would comment on their pictures and be like, don't you know what Britney's going through? Free Britney. Because basically anyone going there was supporting the conservatorship, because the whole idea was that Britney refused to work, so the only way they could make money is doing stuff like that, setting up a museum with her things in it.
I think that's a good point. Is like when we see celebrities or we see people posting on social media about Britney, that yeah, definitely comment free Britney, comment, don't give money to conservatorship. This is we're I mean she's being denied a life. I'm really not okay with this at all. And I came across something one of my friends was saying, well, I really hope that there's something that the lawyers know, the psychiatrists know, that we just don't know. But I can't imagine what, like, she's not a serial killer. She's, even if she's self-harming, she doesn't deserve to have her life taken away. She
Yeah,
deserves quality mental health care to help her get her life back on track. And it feels like that's absolutely the opposite of what the people who are taking control of her life want for her, or even investing in for her. And I've seen people talk about like Kanye West and I don't know, other people who maybe had gone to rehab, maybe had gone for mental health, but didn't have their whole right to control and live their own life taken from them. And this has just been for too long. I could understand a conservatorship for a short amount of time, but she shouldn't have her entire life just be given to someone else. And if she really does need a conservatorship, give it to someone else, because she's unhappy with the situation where she is now and she's not improving. They're not, I mean, the goal should be to get her back on her feet and get her able to be a person again. And this one's failing her. So she needs one that will help her. If she does indeed need one, she needs a different one.
yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, like I said, she's been working since she was a toddler. She has been working and supporting her family, and, her entire life has been controlled for her whole entire life till now. And she's, what, I think she's like in her late 30s, like
She's
38, around there maybe.
yeah.
And that's a long time to not have your bodily autonomy, and to have, she can't even see her children when she wants to. And right now she's on an allowance, I believe that's around like $1,200 to $1,500 a week that she gets, but her conservators are making millions a year off of her. She had, it's crazy. I think Kevin Federline, that's his name, right? Or yeah, right? Kevin,
Who's it?
her ex-husband, Kevin Federline. I think he gets like millions every month from her for alimony and child support and stuff. And she gets an allowance of like $1,200 a week to live off of. And it's like, what? How does that make sense? She's the one that made all of this money, and all of these people are benefiting from this arrangement, and she has no say.
So it really sounds like this isn't about her needing a conservatorship, but a bunch of just really corrupt human beings
Yeah, well, Kevin,
doing it for
he
her money. Like,
yeah.
it's motivated by money, and somehow we're in a system that's allowing that to continue. That's also disturbing.
It raises red flags, because you think, what is the system gaining? What is the judge gaining to allow this to keep happening? A judge should be wanting to serve and protect, That's their job, is to,
Yeah.
you know, what is it? Judicial, to read the law and to carry it out accordingly, to interpret the law is the judge's, is his or her job. And that should include protecting Britney, because that's the whole point of a conservatorship, is to help someone and set them up to have a happy and wholesome and healthy life, and see if rehabilitation and getting them to being able to not be in a conservatorship anymore. That should be the goal. But the lawyers that have all spoken out basically say that it's unheard of for someone to actually be brought out of a conservatorship once they're put in one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So usually when you're put in a conservatorship, it's for life?
Yes, because conservatorships are typically for old people, like with dementia, or, you know, someone who really can't take care of themselves or their finances, someone who, you know, maybe is in their 70s or 80s and doesn't know what day it is or year. And
Yeah.
that's understandable. You know, they don't know if it's night or day. They need help taking their medications or going to the doctor or paying their bills. Like, that makes sense. But Britney Spears is clearly okay. They're trying to claim that she has dementia, but tell me how someone who has dementia is able to do world tours, Las Vegas residencies, put out several new albums, be the judge on the X Factor, all while having dementia.
It's really disturbing to me. It's sickening, you know, and they're forcing her to have an IUD. So they're forcing her to have a foreign object in her body. It's
Inside of her
not,
is invasive.
and then also just claiming that she's got dementia. So they basically, her parents, it's her father, right?
Yes.
What about her mother? Is
So
her
the
mother?
mother spoke out and says that she's unhappy with this and wants her daughter freed or whatever, but the mother really has never done anything. The mother has always been there. You know, the mother has her nice house that's being paid for by Britney, and the sister also has a nice house. The sister claims that she is not on Britney's payroll, but there is evidence that her house and other things are paid for by Britney's conservatorship. Also, Jamie Lynn Spears is like best friends with Lou M. Taylor, who was Britney Spears' manager. I'm not sure that she's in the picture anymore, but Lou M. Taylor is like a really bad character, and maybe we can get into her more in a future video where we do a deep dive. But she's not a good person, and Jamie Lynn Spears was very close friends with her and had her to her wedding, all kinds of stuff. So it's like, for her to even deny that she knows nothing of the conservatorship, and, you know, she's always wanted to speak out, but was just respecting her sister's privacy, and all this stuff that she's trying to say now is absolute BS. Because why would she not speak out? Britney doesn't have the right to speak out right now. She doesn't. Because she's a conservator, she legally cannot say anything. She can't give interviews. And that was one of the things that she said in her statement that she made to the judge, was that she said, I would really like to be able to do interviews and talk about what I've been through these past 13 years. And she said, I would quite honestly like to sue my entire family.
13 years. That's
2008 or 2000. Yeah, I think 2008 is when it started.
That's utter and complete failure on their part. It's so obvious. Like, if they're not willing to transfer her conservatorship to somebody else and get a second evaluation and even a third one by other people that are not chosen, that are chosen by people who have no interest at all in her money, then I call BS, and I'm not convinced. I feel like this is just people doing something that's absolutely wrong. I mean, it's kind of like slavery. I'm a slave for you. I usually tell people to watch out what they want to compare things to slavery, because it's serious. I've heard people compare various forms of labor exploitation to slavery. And while we want to be aware of labor exploitation because it is, our country does have that history of exploiting labor to the point of slavery, I don't feel like it's a leap to compare
We
what's
still
happening.
do with the mass incarceration system.
Sure.
we tried-
Also doing business with China and the Uyghurs, and China's using
child
slaves.
labor and all that.
Yeah, but I would also compare what's happening to Britney.
Yes, she might not be forced to work in a field, but she's drugged, she's controlled. They are putting things in her body, keeping her from being able to have children, from being able to get married. She can't even go get in her car and go pick up a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
She has zero rights, and they have forced her to perform, and they are keeping everything. She's not getting any compensation or benefits from her own work.
So
They
there
have-
was, yeah, I'm sorry, but you're right. They haven't, and we haven't really talked about the drugging part, but she mentioned in her like public testimony that her father basically forced her to take lithium, and she said that it was such a heavy dose and messed her up so bad that she just remembers being in bed and she literally couldn't get up, and she felt like she was so drunk, like she was dizzy, and she just couldn't get up to do anything, and that's awful. Another judge recently from the X Factor, the show that Britney was on, he came out saying that Britney was always basically like drugged up, and that they would even come and like pick her up and like have to walk her off set and stuff. And like her fiance at the time, he was basically appointed as her like caretaker, and so he shadowed her anywhere she went. She was being like watched and taken care of, and like sometimes she would be there like falling asleep because they had her so heavily drugged, and they'd have to like take her off set. And they said that the whole thing was very difficult filming with Britney because she wasn't really able to perform in the way that she should have been if they hadn't been drugging her, you know. And it's really sad to think about.
And then they claimed that she was on drugs, but they were actually forced to be on drugs. So I was going to ask you, like, what even started the whole thing? Like, how did they originally argue to get her in the conservatorship 13 years ago?
Yeah. Okay.
Or something.
So a lot of people believe that her parents basically helped the media kind of exploit Britney in this way of forming this narrative that she was like off the hinges. Into the kids got here, you can hear them. In 2007, I don't know if you remember when everything was going on, there was those pictures of Britney with her baby in her lap where she was driving. I don't know if you remember that. The paparazzi was basically all over Britney like leeches. I mean, anywhere she'd go, they'd be there. And a lot of people believe that Britney's parents, or her father specifically, had a lot to do with this. A lot of people believe that the father would basically let the media know where she was going to be, so she'd be targeted, and they'd get her in a moment where she looked bad, or they would take really ugly pictures of her, like very unflattering. There was one where they got like under her skirt and she wasn't wearing underwear, and she was getting in her car and they're like all up in her, in her grill, and it's like they didn't give her a moment to breathe. They didn't give her a moment to be a person, and she was going through so much. That's when she was going through her divorce, I believe, with Kevin, and there was like a lot of stuff going on with the children and the custody. And there was even this one time where she went to go see her kids and Kevin would not let her in to the house. So basically there was this one evening that Britney went to his house and was trying to get in to see her kids, and someone tipped off the paparazzi and let them know that she was going to be there. So they're parked outside giving her and they're like, "Hey Britney, how's your night going?" And she's like trying to get in to see her kids, and she's begging him to open up the gate so she can get away from the paparazzi. He turns her away, And it's just like this awful mess. So then her friend that she's in the car with, which I believe at the time was her manager, Sam Lefty, who is also a very like weird character. And we don't know if we like him or we don't. We don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy, because he's kind of like one of those characters we're not sure about. But he was with her and he took her like to a gas station nearby. And then the paparazzi followed them, and Britney was not having it. She was having a really bad night, and she had basically told them all to fuck off. And then they didn't. So I think she grabbed like an umbrella and just like started smashing the windows in on their car. And they were like, the paparazzi was literally like, this is amazing, like taking pictures. And they just made her look like a bad mom. They made her look like a bad person. They made her look like she was just partying and doing drugs and just not stable. And that set her up for this moment for her dad to just swoop in. And basically, he convinced her to go to the mental hospital. And while she was in the mental hospital, he filed to create the conservatorship and all this stuff. I believe that when she was picked up from the mental hospital, she was basically told like, you're in a conservatorship now, and basically we own you and your life. And if you don't cooperate, you will no longer be seeing your children. We will take your kids from you. All of this stuff. And I don't know, it's just really awful. I don't know if her parents are responsible for the way that the media was treating her, but a lot of people think that there's no coincidence that they always found her, and also on the worst nights possible. They got her in the worst moments to just make her look horrible. And that's like gaslighting, because no person is perfect, but they created this narrative where Britney probably was at one point like, oh my God, am I a horrible mother? Do I even deserve to see my kids? Am I crazy? Am I this? Am I that? When the whole world is telling you you're ugly, you're disgusting, you're a bad mom. Baby, I'll be right out, okay? I'm filming. Okay, I love you. When the whole world is telling you these things, you start to ask yourself. And I think that on top of her dad just being a horrible, disgusting human being, clearly was just the perfect like moment, right place, right time. And they just were able to just do this to her.
It's really, really sad. But like the whole scenario you described, bashing in the cars, like, okay, I've never done that, but I've also never had the paparazzi following me around at my worst moment. And I know that I felt like doing that, and maybe just like having a lack of privacy and having your life be so public while you're going through one of the worst moments of your life. And we are not our best selves when we're going through those moments. I know I don't want that publicized. Like maybe that's enough to push you there. It doesn't look like dementia though. That is not dementia. And it's really sad that she trusted her father and took his advice and went to a mental hospital. Like that's another thing that people who can't get better don't do. And didn't you say it was like a 1-star mental hospital?
I can't remember if it was that she decided to go or if they just like convinced doctors to 5150 her, which is involuntary admission to the mental hospital. But yes, I did see that the mental hospital specifically where she was sent to, and when we do a deep dive, we can show it, but that has really poor ratings. I don't know if it's like 1 or 2 stars, but it's like not a good hospital. And you would expect superstar Britney Spears, biggest pop star in the world, every household, her name is a household name, literally, like almost probably as big as Coca-Cola, like she's big. And to think that she'd go to a mental hospital that has a 2-star rating on Google, that does not sound right.
No, it does not. But maybe that's why the rating is so low.
Maybe that could
might be 2-star until it had a role in the conservatorship of our female pop star, Coca-Cola female pop stars, Britney Spears.
Can we rate the government of California too?
Yeah, let's move down, vote them all and Yelp.
To this government.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I said 0 stars to this government here for allowing our queen, Britney, to be basically enslaved for 13 years.
If I could give them negative stars, I would.
Yes, 10/10 would not recommend.
And not to make light of such a serious situation, but yes, free Britney. And I think when we do our deep dive, I'd also like us to look into the free Britney merchandise and find out like what, if anything, is actually there to contribute to her. And if there's nothing, maybe, uh, point us to it if you know of something. If you're watching and you know of a very good free Britney organization that's selling free Britney merch, we want to be buying that and not buying the stuff that is benefiting, financially profiting her conservatorship. So that's all that I think of that we can do. I mean, it feels really powerless and I feel really awful about it. It's disgusting that it's happening and I wish that I could do more. I hope that she appeals. I hope that she gets a better case next time. I don't know if there's anything the general public can do if that happens to help her. But if there is, that we're going to find out in our deep dive and we'll come back and let you know. And if you're watching this and you have ideas, please leave them in the comments.
Yes, we appreciate you for watching. And if you have gotten this far, please leave us a thumbs up to let us know that you're liking our content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so when we upload a new video, you will be notified and won't miss it. And like always, we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Bye.